Finances and the global economy and the domestic economy and just the economy in your own household, they're spinning. Whether you're happy right now or something uncomfortable, or you just want to look at how you react to everything that's going on, now is the time to start. That's why we've come up with this video series. It's a 6-part video series that we've kind of nicknamed Start, and it's to set up true financial achievement right now. But really, it's to get you to start, just the little tiny steps it takes to start looking at your finances and doing something about them for your financial present and your financial future. So I'm getting ahead of myself. First, I'll introduce you to Sarah. Sarah, take it away.
I'm Sarah, and what I wanted to start with is a little statistic that's a bit surprising for me, which is that approximately 60% of Americans are simply living to paycheck to paycheck.
60, 60.
Yes, 60, which means that a lot of them, right, it's not necessarily an income issue. It is absolutely a habit issue, a systems issue. That's why today's topic is so important. And today we are actually going to be taking a look at why willpower and discipline by themselves aren't the answer and what really works. And Ronnie Loiza is here to share with us. She is incredible. She's a professional coach. She is certified life coach, kind of master level certified life coach. She's also a certified habit coach. She takes a holistic mind, body, psyche kind of connection perspective. She really helps people to think and create long-term, if not lifelong, habits in eating, exercise, self-care, daily work, productivity, and of course, money as well, which is what we're focusing on today, but we're going to look at some of these other things. And the important thing here to note is that habits are second nature. They're not forced. Therefore, when habits are there, it removes the struggle, the resistance, the militant self-discipline, kind of that continual blast of like, oh, I can do this, right? Which can cause us to crash and leave us feeling burned out. Also, just for fun, like Ronnie, she loves dance, she loves coaching, she loves movies, she loves strength training for herself as for others as well. And she's just a powerhouse who really helps people to think, how do we change our thought, change our behavior, and therefore change our lives.
Yeah,
Over to you.
true. Thank you so much for introducing me and telling people a little bit about myself. And let me tell you a little bit about Sarah. The reason I was attracted to Sarah is I heard her talking on a summit, I think it was, or a networking group. And when she said, leave no families behind, I'm like, hello? That's really important because what is she talking about? And the thing is, there's so many institutions from, this is not political, this is just fact. There's so many agencies, organizations, whatever it is, where people don't advocate for themselves and they're kind of left behind financially. They really are. I mean, the struggle with our healthcare system and just being, getting coverage. And, the first thing that comes to people's mind is, well, will that be covered? Will my insurance cover it? We shouldn't have to think that way, but we can't change the system. Well, we can with our votes and what we can do what we can do, but we can change and control our finances, our investments, from savings to investing to insurance to all of it. We can. And sometimes it's hard because like, okay, but I already budget, or I already know how much I have. We get in this mindset of, I don't know how. Where do I start to grow my finances? And I'm just blown away that 60% of this country lives paycheck to paycheck. Now,
Yep.
Sarah, how is
And
she?
what I want to say here too is when I see people coming through, and this is why it's so important what Ronnie has to bring to the table. When so many people are coming through, they are that living paycheck to paycheck. Most people do not have an emergency fund in place. They can't
Oh,
necessarily afford $1,000 without pulling out a credit card. Now, on top of that, as well, a lot of us aren't necessarily saving for our futures. We're in the moment. We're not saving for our futures. We're
right,
really vastly under saving. Not
right.
only that, but debt, right? A lot of it's really common, and maybe we don't want to think about it, but $40,000 worth of debt is pretty common. And that's
Wow.
another challenge.
And
Uh,
so let me tell you who Sarah is before we forget, because she gets into it right away.
I
She
get
starts
into it
telling
right
you,
away.
okay, she starts untangling everything. Well, who is she to speak about this? Well, she's a finance guru. She really is. She helps people create and implement financial plans, create them, tailor them to you. not just what, a company says to do. She helps you. She sits down with you and looks at your finances and your mind and your soul, literally, because we get into that in another video about your core values and what you value. So she helps you implement financial plans tailored to your goals while leveraging insurance, for example, for wealth protection, to protect the wealth that you're growing, and for tax planning. Whether someone like you is just starting your financial journey, perhaps you're in your 20s or 30s, or you're just new to taking care of your finances and taking control, or you're refining an existing plan. Actually, you may feel like, I'm okay. So she's not here to tell you, oh, go invest in this, go do that. No, she wants to look with you where you are and where you want to be and how you can get there. And her approach really empowers you to plant the seeds for long-term success. Success is the key word, while strengthening that foundation that supports your future. So you got to start with the foundation. And let's say you think you have one, but you can like redo that foundation. And she's really about long-term success. And since she shared about how I love my cats and my husband and traveling and dancing, I'll share that she has a beautiful daughter, and you might hear her daughter at some point, and her husband. So
Yeah.
Sarah, let's start with you. What is the biggest case scenario that you said that people think they need to just be disciplined about their finances or just have the willpower to look at them or do something about that?
Or don't even want to think about them. I think that feeds into we're just simply spending what comes in and it goes out. And so for me, one of the struggles I have when I'm wanting to really serve well and to help people well is is that, and exactly why I wanted to talk and meet with you as well, is that piece of like, well, I know it's important, but A, I don't know how, wish I can help them with, I don't know how, but then B, just doing it. So there can be a lot of fear around talking about money. There can be anxiety. There can be, I don't want to look at it. There can be, there's not enough. There can be, I have to just spend in the moment. And so sometimes when I'm sitting down with people, people will be like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I need to think about the now. I need to think about my future. I need to lay that foundation of having an emergency fund, of debt management, of making sure my cash flow is okay. I need to be saving for retirement. I need to. And then it becomes too much sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Um, so,
Category I'm in, for example, I can get to the point of there are so many options and things to look at. Like, what? Roth IRAs, SEPs, IRAs. What? Okay, when can I take this out? Will I be penalized? Bitcoin, all these things that are thrown at you. Like, no, this is the latest trend. Annuities are great. No, don't you dare go with annuities. Or this kind of insurance is great with the ceiling and the this. No, 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 you don't want to do that and lock yourself in. It's like, well, who's right? Everybody says they're right. So you have to first of all, look at your why. We're going to talk about just willpower and discipline in a second. But before we do that, we'll get into it. Right after, I'm going to invite Sarah to name the things that we will cover in the next few videos.
yeah, absolutely. We want to cover all of this, but we want to start right now with that importance of habits and systems. Habits and systems. And so, Ronnie, well,
Well, in the second video, we're going to cover some tips. I actually give you some tips just to kind of spur some actual little habits, actions that you can take daily. Yeah,
yeah.
there are. And so you pick from what you can do that will actually help you. We love that one. And we can also email that to you. What does the third video cover?
The third video, we're going to be taking a look at the importance of family, fitness, and fun in financial success. They're not separated, they're all interconnected. That's video
Absolutely.
three. Yeah. And then four, we're going to be looking at how do we align our money and our habits with our core values. And that's a huge one right here that I kind of want to jump into right away.
That's a more philosophical, crucial, vital part. It is
Yeah.
really a lot of mindset and philosophy and what you believe. And then
Yeah.
the one after that, we talk about actual steps. We give you some formulas and steps. I talk about how to build a habit, and Sarah talks about.
Well, what do you need to do in order to get your financial house in order to lay that foundation, know where you're going, and start going. Take those
Yeah,
steps.
yeah, she has an actual printout, like 4 steps that you take. So I'm really looking forward to that. So, okay. Do you need the willpower to have it? I'm just not motivated to redo my finances. That's going to be so time consuming, or I'm so busy, or I don't really have all that money to reinvest, or whatever, or I don't have any money to invest, or I just have it in savings, or you're doing fine. It's like, why should I? but something's telling you, well, is there something better? So we're not here to sell you something, by the way. We're not here to sell you timeshares or whatever else, some financial plan. We're not. Okay. These are more concepts and to get you to start taking action wherever you are and whatever your goals are. So as far as motivation, what is your motive? What is your motive for being here? What do you want to get out of this? And what do you want out of your finances? What do you want out of your work? What do you want out of your career? What do you want out of your retirement? Do you even want to retire? Do you want to redefine that? What do you want? What is your motive? You define what your motive is. What fulfills you? What is your purpose? Your purpose doesn't have to be your job, but you can put your purpose, what fulfills you, into your job. So we're going to move away from what sounds all woo-woo. This is practical. You really have to know, what does fulfill me? And is that in my home and in my finances? You don't have to put off your dreams or feeling fulfilled to meet all your responsibilities. You put what fulfills you into that. You mix it in. Like I said, in one of these videos, we talk about family. We talk about fitness. Your health is so vital to your wealth. And we talk about having fun. Okay, so when it comes to willpower, do I have the willpower or do I have the discipline to do what it takes to build financial habits? Well, I help people do what's natural. We take it slow, we take it easy, we go back and we take one tiny action depending on what your goal is, what you want to achieve as a habit in your finances. And we start forming that habit, because once it becomes a habit by its very definition, you're not forcing yourself. You don't force yourself to brush your teeth. At least I hope not. Think of a habit that you have that, oh, I don't think about that. I just do. Whenever you put shoes on that have shoelaces, I hope you're not a 12-year-old kid that doesn't tie them, because I used to not tie mine. But if you're in the habit of tying your shoes if you put on shoes with shoelaces, right? Or you're in the habit of using a shoehorn when you put on certain heels or whatever it is, whatever's the habit. We always say, like brushing your teeth or taking off your makeup, whatever's a habit that you don't think about because it's in your subconscious. So I'd like you to think about some of your habits. Like, okay, I don't think about that. I don't think about that. I'm just on autopilot. That's what a habit is. Autopilot. Habits are literally a succession of rapid fire systems. It's a system. A habit is a system. Rapid fire thoughts, because they're activated by something. They tell your subconscious, boom, you do it. So it's a systemized thing. I read a long time ago in Forbes magazine, it was this article about the most successful people in our country. And when you read success, we tend to think dollar signs, right? So if you live in Europe, it's the euros, whatever it is. The most successful people, whether they're in C-suite, senior management, whatever it is, entrepreneurs, it was interesting that they said they don't depend on willpower at all. Why? Because in their business, in their company, in their banking, and their investments, they have systems in place. I literally read that. Fast forward to when I became a certified habit coach, habits are systems. We have systemized things in our brain. I'm like, aha, I made the correlation. You don't need willpower when you have systems in place, when you have habits, when you have routines. And also when you have financial systems in place and you have peace of mind because it's automated. But you have to know what to automate. And that's where Sarah comes in. As far as discipline, I'm not going to shop. I'm not going to buy. I'm going to budget. That's hard. We break disciplines. Just like sometimes you're at the store and you grab that candy bar when you're waiting to check out. Sometimes we have impulses. Okay. You don't need discipline when you finally form what's part of your identity. And you take joy in it. Yeah. And what's part of your identity, when it's a habit, it's like, what will work for you? What will work for you as far as your budgeting, as far as your knowledge of what you have in your bank account, as far as your knowledge of how much credit you have, of how much you've spent on those credit cards, all of it. Your investments, if you have a property management, how are you spending your money? Where's your money going? When that becomes easy because you have systems in place that allow you to check without spending all your time or without taking too much time, then you can breathe. You don't need the discipline, and you don't need the discipline not to overshop. Or maybe you think you need the discipline not to go on that phone and start shopping late at night. Well, we create habits that get you off that phone so you won't impulse buy, because a lot of women, these are stats. I'm not saying I know all these women, but it shows that the biggest sales on Instagram are at hours past 6 p.m. Western. So I would say 9 p.m. Eastern, or at hours at night. I tend to think, I don't know, I tend to think that's when, dinner's done, whatever, I'm home, I'm not out on a date, or if you're with a family, they get on Instagram and they start shopping. That's dangerous. It used to be Amazon, but now it's like that bone can be lethal. So we start to form habits that take you away from why are you impulse shopping in the first place? And what would you replace that? Reframe your way of thinking. That's where the habits come in place, and you don't need to worry about the discipline. You don't need to worry about the discipline. I don't know, but I was a Sex and the City woman. Okay. I watched it. I know every episode backwards and forwards. So remember the big addiction that Carrie Bradshaw had? No, it wasn't Mr. Big. It was the shoes, right? And there was one episode where she fell in debt because she realized she had like $30,000 worth of shoes and she was in debt and couldn't afford to refinance her apartment in New York. That was not fiction. That was taken out of truth. Remember, the writers took it from a real person's life story and her column, Candace Bushnell. And so what I'm saying is we can find ourselves in a predicament if we're constantly overspending or not knowing how we're spending it. It's interesting, and I'll give it back to Sarah. I just want to make this point. When I've helped people with their eating, they really, wow, have an epiphany when they realize it's not about the diet. It's not about the challenge. It's not about choosing keto over this or that or that. All that can be important. But the main basic thing is your habit in eating. You're in the habit. How are you in the habit of eating? Standing up in front of the TV, in the car, mindlessly in front of the computer? How are you in the habit of eating? What are you in the habit of eating? And that could be cultural, with the family, whatever it is. What are you in the habit of eating? What do you grab for in your snack? What are you in the habit of eating? Because it is a habit. And how much are you in the habit of eating without realizing it? Same thing can be applied to your finances. What are you in the habit? What's your go-to of your spending?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How much are you in the habit of spending? Do you even know? In the habit of, naturally, without the budget. So it was how much, what, and how are you in the habit of spending? How are you in the habit of spending? I'm thrifty. I joke around. I say I'm cheap. I became thrifty after the epiphany when I was in my late 20s, going to Nordstrom's half yearly sales and buying MAC makeup because I was making money all of a sudden as a bachelorette. All of a sudden, I went condo shopping with my mom because she just liked looking at them. And I started talking to a realtor and I started seeing, could I afford this? Because I thought I can't afford a home in my 20s. And she's like, let's look. I found a way to buy a condo. And that totally turned me where I was joyfully spending my money, investing. I still have that condo to this day. It's like my little bachelorette pad. It's paid for. It's been paid for years. If I didn't live in it, I've always rented it out. And it was a tiny shoebox near the beach. I know my dad was like, why don't you buy interior? You could buy a 3-bedroom house for that money. I'm like, no, I want the beach. And I don't care if it's a 700 square foot shoebox. It's mine. But it got me in that mindset of how am I spending my money?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. I hand it back to Sarah. So you don't need discipline and willpower when you have systems in place, and financial habits are systems. Go ahead.
And that piece that you just talked about of that joy that's set in front of you that allows you to say, I don't need to spend on MAC makeup and shoes anymore, because that foregoing of those things is no longer a pain because you've got something you're joyfully anticipating ahead of you that allows you to save towards that goal with consistency. Next episode, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about some tiny financial habits and how those habits can build wealth, reduce stress. We're going to also look at some principles around money. I have prepared for you a PDF. I'd love it if you would download it before this next episode because it's going to help you identify where you're at right now. And then you can ignore the rules of money section. We're going to talk about them in the next video, but I want you to have it ready. I want you to have started thinking through where are you.
What is that PDF called? So they'll look at it in their email.
It's going to be a self-assessment questionnaire.
Okay. Now, I think the reason she said that is because when I first looked at it, I'm like, oh, it had charts and graphs and numbers and percentages. And I'm like, no, no, no. And she scrolled up to the second part's so easy. If I can do it, because charts and graphs, to me, it's like, woo, glaze over my eyes. Ignore the first page, do the second one. It'll really help you.
Yep. Please do. And then we will really look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah. Look for the link again and share the registration link and download your free gifts. All right. So I'm Ronnie Loiza.
And I'm Sarah Snyder.
See you on the second one. Bye.
Bye.